Keep it Gruvye.
Channel. So for today's video, I'm going to show you how I created this super cute Fashion Nova inspired 2-set jumpsuit. That was a really long name, and I know y'all are sick and tired of these 2 sets I keep making, and I promise you I know how to make more than, you know, just crop tops and pants. But we're gonna get to that later on when it starts getting cold, but for now you're just gonna have to do a belly button. But real talk, this is actually supposed to be a one-piece jumpsuit. I just did not have a long enough zipper, which I'm so mad about, but I still love it as a 2-set. And so I'm going to show you all how I created this from start to finish. These are actually curtains, which, surprise, surprise, are not from my mother's curtain set that y'all think I'll be stealing curtains, jacking curtains from my grandma and my mom. Why would I do that? I most certainly have done that before though. So I got a set of curtains from the thrift store for like $6, and I figured I love the pattern. Not so much the type of material, because it's like this sort of polyester, you know, synthetic fabric that is a little stiff, and it frays like nobody's business. But I really love the print and everything on this, and I had to make something out of it, so I had to get it. So I hope that you all enjoy this. And before we get into it, if you haven't already, go on and hit that subscribe button and that bell button so you can become part of notification squad. I see y'all and I love y'all. And also to get notified when I put out new content each and every week. And so now that you are subscribed, we are gonna get into the tutorial, and without further ado, let's go. So to get started, I have my 2 curtain panels that I got from the thrift store, and I love them for this beautiful print and pattern. So we're gonna just be playing around with this. You're also gonna need a pair of pants, high-waisted preferably, as well as a t-shirt that you don't mind parting with, because we're gonna use it as a pattern. And you're gonna need a zipper, some scissors, pinking shears, I'd highly recommend it for this fabric, as well as a seam ripper, and of course your handy dandy sewing machine, and we're good to go. So also what I used was some pattern paper, but this is completely optional. If you don't want to create a pattern for later, you don't have to, but I usually like to make patterns so that I can keep them and make other clothes. So first we're starting off with our pants. I am just laying my trousers on the paper, and I folded them in half, and I left about an inch, well actually y'all, I left about like an 1.5 inches of seam allowance, and this is the first mistake right here, so don't make this mistake. I would just go on and make about 1/2 inch of seam allowance, because my pants ended up being like way too big with me giving all this generous amounts of space, and also it was like a little too high-waisted. So yeah, go on and just do like 1/2 inch and you should be fine. Next, what I'm doing is I'm just cutting out my pant pattern. And also, just to mention, you'll see me kind of cut a little bit out in the later part of this video. And then next, what I'm going to do is I am going to seam rip the sleeve off of my shirt. RIP to the Skeeter shirt. But this was the only shirt I had that I was okay with, you know, parting with. So I'm going to go ahead and take the sleeve off of, actually both of the sleeves off of the shirt. So once it's complete, this is what it looks like. It's all armless and sad, so RIP to the shirt. But you're going to next take your sleeve, just one sleeve, and we're going to open this up. So you're going to seam rip the one side open, and then we're going to lay this onto our pattern paper, and we're going to just leave about a 1/2 inch of seam allowance all around. And I'm going to extend this about 1.5 inches, 2 inches down, because I want the sleeve to be a little bit longer. And this is our new sleeve pattern. But like I said, y'all, if you don't want to make an actual pattern, you can just transfer this right onto the fabric instead of doing this step right here. So finally, we're gonna get into the fabric. I'm gonna lay everything out, and I'm just gonna cut off this sort of stiff edge. I guess this is where the curtain meets the rod or whatever. And then as you see here, I'm folding it in half so that the right sides, the smooth sides, are touching and the wrong sides are out. And I'm going to lay my pattern over top of my fabric and just pin that to the fabric. And the sun was hella bright today because I don't even know what's going on. So the sun will probably change like a whole bunch of times throughout this video. So bear with me, y'all. But I'm going to take my pinking shears and I'm going to just cut that out. And the reason why I use pinking shears for this type of fabric is because it's so sensitive to fraying. It's not even like, even though I use this, it's still frayed. So I like to, you know, try to minimize it as much as possible. And now I'm going to make 2 pairs. So altogether I have 4 pieces, 2 front pieces and 2 back pieces. And so you see right here, 2 fronts and 2 backs. And then I'm going to lay my other piece, my other panel down, and this is going to be dedicated to the shirt portion. So I am now going to just pin down my top, and I actually folded it at the bottom just a little bit because I want it to be obviously a crop top, because you know that's how I live my life. And I'm just going to leave about a ½ inch of seam allowance and then afterwards cut that out. So once we've created our back piece, I'm just folding it in half so that I can make sure everything is nice and symmetrical. And then I'm going to create our side pieces for the front. I'm going to fold my back piece in half. I'm laying that on top of some fabric and I'm just tracing it, but I'm extending one side along the folded edge. I'm extending that diagonally. Now I'm going to freeze it right here. Just letting you know, I would suggest making this diagonal a little bit longer because I kind of wish that I made it a little bit longer, so it just would have made more sense for, you know, more versatility instead of having to do like a twist tie kind of thing. You'll see what I mean later on, but I would definitely extend that longer if you can. So now I have my fabric doubled up and I'm going to go ahead and cut that out, making sure that the right sides are together and that the wrong sides are facing out. So once you cut it out, you have 2 mirrored pieces, so a left and a right, like so. Now moving on to the sleeves, I'm just going to pin my sleeve pattern down, and I actually just used the finished edge of the curtain, so I didn't actually have to, you know, hem an edge, which is just like a cheat sheet. And I think it's so much easier than, you know, doing extra hemming. And I made 2 pieces of this. So going back into the bodice, I'm gonna go ahead and just iron everything down, and I protect it using a shirt just because I don't want anything to melt since this is a plasticky material. And now I'm doubling up my back piece and my 2 side pieces. Now this is kind of where I wish I had the right sides facing each other rather than one right side facing one wrong side. Just because it would have made everything cleaner and less fray, because all of the frayed edges would have been on the inside when I turned it inside out. So I did that for all of those pieces where I had one wrong side out and one right side out. Because I just, you know, I wanted it to look like, oh, this is the inside of the shirt versus this is the outside, but I should have done it the other way. Anywho, I go ahead and I just sew everything down, and I'm just using a simple straight stitch. And also, y'all, if there's anything that is not clear, because I know I talk fast or like weirdly, I don't know, let me know in the comment section down below and I'm happy to answer them. I try to answer each and everybody's questions. So this is what it looks like once you have completed sewing. And I'm just going to now attach my 2 side pieces to the back piece, making sure that my right sides are touching and that my wrong sides are facing outwards. And I'm just going to go ahead and pin up the top as well as the side. Now you can kind of see what I mean by I wish I had extended the side panel further down that diagonal, because it would have made a nicer looking, less exposed top. But it's cool, you know, that's me. I'm classy. Anyway, so I'm gonna go ahead and just sew everything down. And then this is what it looks like with the finished edge. And so bada bing bada boom, you've got pretty much a 75% done bodice piece. And now we're going to move on to the sleeves. So I'm going to fold it in half, making sure that the right sides are touching. Once again, that's going to be a theme. And then I'm pinning down one side just to close that off, and then I'm going to straight stitch that so that I have a sleeve. And so that is what it looks like. And now moving forward, we're going to then attach our sleeve to our bodice, and I'm going to turn this right side out, but our bodice is still inside out. So making sure that the good sides are on the inside and that the sleeve has the good sides on the outside. You'll see what I mean. But essentially you're going to attach them like so to basically from the top to the bottom, and then just pin all around. And I cannot explain or cannot express how much I love attaching sleeves. It's like a weird thing, like a weird addiction. So I just want to make things that have sleeves all the time. And then this is what it should look like. So you're gonna go ahead and sew that down, but this is what it looks like. And it's so simple. You just sew it all the way around, like all the way around within the circle. Take your time, and then you have it. You have your bodice, and we're gonna go back into the pants real quick because I was like, I need a break from the shirt. My shirts usually take me forever. I don't know why. But anyway, so now I'm moving on into the pants. First things first, I'm going to have two pieces facing right sides together, and I'm going to be pinning and sewing along the curved edge. Just like the shorts tutorial I showed y'all, we're going to do the same thing with the pants, and making sure that both of the pieces, remember we have 4 pant pieces, remember to sew both of them down so you have 2 pieces in the end. And this is what it looks like. And I'm just going to lay that open, making sure the top, or the bottom piece rather, has the right sides facing up, and the next piece has the right sides facing down. So guess what? They're touching. Aha! So y'all are gonna get sick of me. I'm sorry. I just feel like I have to over explain everything, but that's just my nature because I always want to make sure people understand. So yeah. And now I'm just pinning down the inside of the pants, their inner leg portion, and then I'm going to pin the outer sides portions, sure. So and then I'm gonna go ahead and sew everything down. Now because the pants were a little too high-waisted, I just went on and chopped off the top a little bit. Now you don't have to do this if you know are not too crazy about the high-waisted part, but after that I went ahead and I created a band that was about 4.5 inches thick, and I made sure to have at least an inch of seam allowance so that I was able to move around and breathe. So now I'm gonna go ahead and I'm going to fold it in half. And I'm going to pin that down, and then later I'm going to sew it. It's like I ironed it and then I sewed it, just to give it a nice crisp edge. So that's what it looks like after I sewed it. And now I'm going to go ahead and sew it closed so it's one big loop. And now I did this, y'all, because I had the intention of getting a longer zipper and creating a jumpsuit. So I shouldn't have really sewn it shut, but it doesn't really matter because I mean it was just one extra step of having to open it up and insert the zipper regardless, so it didn't really matter. I think it just helps a little bit to create a loop. But essentially now what I'm doing is I'm taking the pants and I'm kind of tapering them a little bit just to fit easier to the loop. And I just do that by folding the inner edges in to create these little notches. And now I'm going to attach the band and making sure that the band is inside out and upside down. We're going to slide that onto the pants and then pin at the very top. And then once that is complete, guess what you're gonna do next? We're gonna sew this baby. So we're gonna go ahead and sew this in one big circle. And just take your time, especially with the notches. Go slow because sometimes those notches can come out as you're sewing. But this is what it looks like. And I wish I had a long enough zipper. I can't say that enough. But this is kind of what I wanted it to look like. So, you know, less boobies, but whatever. So now I'm gonna go ahead and I'm opening up the back of my pants so I can insert the zipper. So I know an extra step, but hey, this is what happens when you don't plan ahead of time. And then I went ahead and pinned my zipper down. And if you all want to see a more in-depth tutorial on how to insert zippers, let me know down below and I'm happy to make a video on that. Now I'm going back into my shirt and I'm going to go ahead and what am I trying to say? Hem. We're gonna hem the edge. I also tried it on because I wanted to see how I like the fit, and I actually took in the sleeves a little bit, as you saw me kind of poking around. But after I took the sleeves in, I hemmed the edge of the shirt, and I kind of did this weird thing right where you see me right here. I sort of folded it diagonally even more at the very bottom. I wasn't sure exactly why I did this, and I really didn't have to because it just made it even more, you know, kind of like an awkward step that I didn't have to do. So like I said, if you can make this part longer, it would be much nicer and less cleavage. So unless of course you like cleavage like me, you know, because I like doing that, but it's fine. But now I'm gonna go ahead and I'm hemming down the raw edges. And just take your time. I'm hemming down all of the raw edges from the top of the neck to basically down the side panels. And I'm just cutting off any excess that I had. So you saw how I kind of folded things in. I pinned it down just to help me as a guide. Once I finished doing that, I turn it inside out and I pin it down and just cut off the excess. So yeah, lots and lots of excess right here. So you see me just chopping all of that away, which I should have just kept. Yeah, this is definitely gonna be a redo project because y'all hear me like being so sad about the things I should have done. I should have done it, but it's alright. I'm definitely gonna do a redo project later down the line, and I can't wait. Now I'm gonna go ahead and just sew that down. Now this is the part that's gonna make some of you really professional sewers really upset, because I just was so frustrated at this point because I had made this way too open and too short. But you know, basically I just gathered the fabric and, you know, just gathered it like so, and I just took a couple pins and just pinned it. And you know, I'm sure this is a technique that, you know, people have used at least once. But I just went ahead and I sewed that down to create these ruffled edges. And then I just cut off the excess, as you see here. Yeah, so definitely not the most professional way of going about this. This is pretty much a last resort thing because I really did not give myself enough fabric to work with. And so therefore I had to create these little straps. And I also messed up right here. And so, like I said, y'all, nobody's perfect. I keep these mistakes in here because I want you all to know that I certainly am not the greatest sewer in the world. I am also, you know, learning, and I love making mistakes because they help me to just be better and do better next time. So I should have made these straps a little bit longer. In fact, a whole lot longer than 4 inches. I ended up remaking them. And I made them about 10.5 inches each. But essentially I just folded them and sewed them down, turned them inside out, and then attach them with attach them at the edge with straight pins, and then I'm going to sew that down as you see right here. And then I'm going to open that up and then just straight or top stitch that, just so that there's no edges that are sticking out. So you see right here, I did 2 lines, so it's all nice and not bumpy. And this is where I actually redid the strap, and I made it 10.5 inches. Yeah, so 10.5 inches right there. So that's just a sign for me to do better. So this is what it looks like in the very end. I'm actually very pleased with how it turned out, and I'm loving it. But there's a lot of things I would change, but at the same time, I think I did a pretty good job. So thank you all so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this. As always, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And I love you all, and I'll see you soon. Bye.